All right, I want to make a video here about Chapter 3 of Access. And if you look at our calendar, Chapter 3 is creating and using queries. And query just means question. We're going to question the database. We're going to say, how many females are in my company? How many males? How many people work in the transportation department? Give me a list of the people that are in the transportation department. List everybody that makes more than $50,000. We can do all those types of queries or questioning of the database by creating custom queries and saving them to run them again at a later time. So let's look at that using my sample database, Acme employee. I'm going to open up Acme here. And if you remember, Acme had an employee table of people that worked in the company. This is my mythical company. And then, payroll checks for paychecks I've given them. But let's primarily look at employee right here. Now, this is the table. Now, I can do things in the table like sort by last name or, or sort A to Z or sort by employee ID. But I can't exclude records from this unless I create a query. So I'm going to create a query. I'm going to do that by, let me get rid of this database. Sure, no, I won't save my changes. Let me close that. Get everything closed. Then I'm going to go create, and I can do a query wizard, or I can do query by design. Well, if I do a query wizard, it just kind of walks me through it and says, what do you want? Well, I want a simple query wizard. Okay. I want to do it on employee ID, first name, last name, department, and title. That's the only things I want to show up in this query report I'm running. Then I hit next, and I can either run it, open the query in the information view, and give it a name here. I can say give it a name, or I can go to the design window. Now we'll go to the design window in just a little bit. So let me say finish right here. And then here is my employee listing. I'm including employee ID, first name, last name, department, and title. I've excluded the other fields from the database because if I wanted to print this out, in fact, I probably wouldn't want employee ID to be in here either. So this is the data sheet view of this query called employee listing I've just created and saved. In fact, if I close this right now, if I want to run it again, I can just double click on it. Now, if I need to change this because I want to have this listing available, but I don't want all the other employees to know employee IDs of these employees, I'm going to go to design view of my query right here, and I'm actually going to delete employee ID from this query. Now, if I save it and run it, now remember on query design, on the query design tab right here is the run button. So now you see it's just showing first name, last name, department, and title. And if I still don't like how this is set up, because it'd be better if it was sorted by last name, I can go back to my design window and I could click on this field right here and drag it to the side. So now it's going to be last name, first name. And oh, by the way, there's a sort line right here for my query, and I'm going to say sort ascending. And then once again, I can save my changes and run it. So now I have a listing of the employees in my company sorted by last name A to Z. And it says what department they work in and what their job title is. So that's an example of creating a query, and anytime I need that, I can just double click on it and run it now because under my access objects, I'm saying show everything. Now I could just say show me the queries or just show me the tables, but I'm going to say show everything. Now the difference between employee is this is every single field in my table, and this has confidential, this has information that might be sensitive, like salary, okay? And are they married? Well, other employee or when they were hired. People don't need to know that. if we just want to have a listing of who works in the companies, in this company, this is the query we would create. Now, let's get a little bit fancier with this. I'm going to create a query in the design window. So right now I have no tables in my design window. Here's my, I'm going to come here to add tables, and I'm going to say tables. I don't want to add a query. I want to add this table, and I want to add the employee table. So I can say add selected tables, or I can just double click. Now once I've got the table in here, I can resize it so I can see all the fields, and I can close add tables. Now, I don't have any fields in this query, but let's say I'm trying to get a salary report. So I could double click and add employee ID is the first field, last name, first name, department, and salary. Now I have all that. I could sort by, let's sort by salary. I'm going to come down here to the sort line, the third line, and say sort ascending. Now, if I just run this right now, come up here and hit my run, here's everybody that works in the company, their employee ID, the department, and the lowest paid employee, Billy Bob, all the way up to the highest paid employee, myself. And, you know, hey, I need to give myself a raise. Let's fix that. I'm going to save the changes to my, right now my query is called query number 1. So I want to save my query, but let's not call it query 1. Let's call it Acme pay table. Acme pay. So now anytime I want to look at the pay of my employees sorted by salary, I can just double click on Acme pay. Now, if that's not exactly what I want, I can right click on it and say open it in design view. Like I said, I can sort it by multiple fields. If I want to sort by salary first, it needs to be to the left, and then I could sort by department. Now, if I want to sort by department first, it needs to be the left of salary. So now I'm doing 2 sorts. I'm going to first sort by department, and then my subsort is going to be by salary. So let's run that. So here's all the computer department people, and then sorted by salary. Here's the corporate people. Here's the sales department, and here's the transportation department. So primary sort by department, secondary sort by salary. Now, if I go back to design view just by hitting this button, I can modify this. So say I want to see everybody in the company. I'm going to go to the criteria line here. I only want to see employees that make more than $50,000. And when I go to type this in, by the way, don't put a comma. Don't go 50, 1,000. Type it in as a straight number. So now I put a criteria in here saying, only show me the employees that make more than $50,000. I tell you what, we'll say greater than or equal to $50,000. And I'll say run. So there are 5 employees in my company that make more than $50,000. So that's adding a criteria. Now, the other thing I can do is say, I don't want employee ID to show up in this printout. So if you check or uncheck fields right here, that's whether they show up when you run it. The criteria is which records show up. And you can get more complex with this. I could say, show me everybody between 20,000 and I tell you what, I could say greater than 20,000 and less than 50,000. I think that'll work. Let me run it right here. So there's everybody in that range of salary. So you can get sophisticated with these queries. Now, what if I only wanted to see people in the transportation department? So here I'd say for my criteria, I'd say trans, and then here I'd say show me everybody in the transportation department that makes more than $50,000. So when I put multiple criteria on a row, it's an and condition. They have to be in the transportation department and they have to make more than $50,000. So I'm going to hit run. And nobody qualifies. That is sad. Here, let's take transportation off and run it again. So still nobody. Have I got something wrong here? Oh, $500,000. Duh, no wonder it wasn't finding it. I put one too many zeros. Let's go back to transportation department, and we'll include $50,000. And now I can run it. And now we got one driver in my company who makes more than $50,000. Or I could go back to my design view and, lower this down to $40,000 and run it. So there's the 3 employees in my company in the transportation department that make more than $40,000, or including 40. And so I can create these and criteria. Now, if I pull this down and put it on the next row, I've created an or condition. So now I'm going to put records in the answer table. You can be in the transportation department, or you can make greater than or equal to, here, we'll go back up to $50,000. And I'm going to say run. So now you see we got more records. These people are showing up because they make more than $50,000, more than or equal to. Billy Bob is showing up because he's in the transportation department, not because he makes enough money. The same with Johann Sebastian Bach or Fred Zeb. They're showing up because they're in the transportation department. So if I go back here and look at my criteria, these are 2 independent criterias: transportation department or greater than or equal to $50,000. Once again, if you put it on the same line, then they both have to be true. Now, one more thing I want to show you with queries is I could come in here and say, turn on my totals and say, show me the average salary, and I can say of those that are in the transportation department. Let's see if this works. Nope, I didn't set it up right. Hang on. I need to get rid of these other fields I'm not interested in. So I just need to say group by department. Here, let's do it this way. Show me, and you see how it added this total line? Show me the average. So here's the average salary in the computer department, the average salary in the corporate department, sales, and transportation. So that is adding the totals button. And instead of saying totals, I could say show me the maximum salary in each one of those departments. In fact, I could add salary again here. I could add salary, and right here I could say show me the average salary. Instead of saying group by, I'd say show me the minimum salary and show me the maximum salary, and then I can run it. So this is showing me aggregate. This is totaling stuff up by department. So there's the numbers for the computer department, corporate department, sales, and trans. So that is creating queries in a nutshell. Now, I'll save this change and I'll exit. Now, what I want to do next is I want to show you a few things about the sim book for chapter 3. So let me filter this down to access, and I'm going to open up the sim book right here, chapter 3, creating and using queries. And let's open the sim book. And there's just a couple things I want to show you right here. Let's get to skill number 1, and that's the very first let me try. And what they want me to do here is create a query. Using the simple query wizard, they create a wizard. So we're going to go create simple query wizard, showing every record results, and we want these fields in this order. So it's a simple query wizard. Okay, we want album name. I'm going to double click on artist. I'm going to double click on genre, or I can just hit this little arrow right here. Release date. So those are the 4 fields I want in this query, and they're all coming out of, release date. from the albums table. All these are from the albums table. And then I need to switch to the songs table, and they want me to add song title. So these 4 fields are coming from the albums table, and this one field, song title, is coming from the songs table. Now I can hit next, and I want the detail view. I don't want to see the summary. So then I can hit next. I can give it a name, and they want me to call it songs on albums. Let's make sure I type that right. And then I can say open the query in the information view. So there's everybody. Here's all the different songs, the different album name, the songs on that album, and the artist, Taylor Swift, and such and such, such and such. So that's how you can do a simple query wizard. Now, actually, I want to show you one thing you got to watch out for. Let me go on to skill number 2. So right now I'm on skill number 1 up here. I'm going to go to skill number 2, and they're going to have you do a query design. So create a query design, and they want me to add the instructors table. So right here, I'm going to click on instructors, make sure I'm on tables, and say add selected tables. Now that's all they wanted me to do in the sim book. It's not giving me credit for it because it will not give you credit on skill 3 and 4 until you actually close the add tables. And as soon as I closed the add tables, it said, congratulations, you did it correctly. Now, let's look at skill number 4. So skill number 4, the thing you have to watch out for when you create these queries is whatever you add to the query, once you've finished the query, you have to do this run button. And remember, if you're on the home tab, you have to go to the design tab for the query design tab and say run. And that runs the query. So watch out for that run button. Now, skill number 7, I'm going to skip to skill number 7 because I wrote myself some notes on this. And we're going to add a criteria. Add a criteria to the query so only results will be shown from the city of Roseville. So if we come down here to the criteria line underneath city and we type in Roseville, make sure I type it right, and then I hit run, it's only going to show me people that live in the city of Roseville. So when you add a criteria, you put it on the criteria line underneath the column for the field you're interested in. Now, on number 8, they had us get a little fancier, and this one was a little trickier. Update the criteria to the garage field so it displays any data that ends in the word attached and has any length of characters before it. Run the query. So if we go to the garage field, which is, let me scroll down here and get my scroll bar. Criteria I want right here is like, quote, asterisk, attached, and then close quotes. So let me see if I got this right. We may need to take Roseville off. Yep, that's what it wanted. So now you can see car attached, car attached, car attached. Let me run this again. So they still wanted the city of Roseville, but I had to come over here and scroll to the side and find my garage. And if I say like, asterisk is a placeholder for one or more characters, but I'm saying the garage has to end in attached. And I think this will run without me putting the quotes around it. Let me try it. Yes, it ran correctly. And it counted it as correct. So watch out for that. You know, the asterisk is kind of weird. You could have said guide me or show me, and it would have showed you how to do it.
To use wildcards in criteria, click the criteria cell in the field where you want to add the wildcard. Type like and enter the example data, including the required wildcard character. If you do not include the quotation marks when
So you can see that it's asterisk. That's the wildcard character. That's a placeholder for any number of characters of any value. But the end of the data in the garage field has to be attached.
you enter the text in the criteria row, Access will place the text and quotation marks for you. Click the Run button. Design
So
tab.
there you have it. So that was a little weird. They talk about the and condition in skill number 10. So in skill number 10 here, let me go back to let me try, and they want me to they want the first name to be Rick, and they want the last name to be Chung. Now this is an and condition because they're both on the same row. Now this is not lined up quite right, but this is the criteria line. So when we run it, here's all the listings by the real estate agent Rick Chung, and that's the only ones it was showing me. That's an and condition. Now skill number 11 they got a little goofy with, because they wanted us to do everything between $2,000 and $3,000 for the square foot value, not dollars, square feet. So right here they want me to say greater than or equal to 2,000 and less than or equal to 3,000. So that's going to show me all the houses that have between 2,000 and 3,000 square feet. And then I hit my run button and didn't get anybody, but there were no houses that met that criteria, but it gave me credit for the let me try. Now, skill number 12 is doing an or. So here we're going to do everybody that is in the city of Rockland. So let's type in Rockland. And they have a list price of less than or equal to $600,000. So we're going to come over to list price and say less than $600,000 for a house. Ouch. So this is an and then they also are interested in Roseville. So if I do it this way, records that are from Rockland and cost less than $600,000 are going to show up in the answer table, and everybody from Roseville, because it's on the or line. What did I, oh, less than or equal to. Did I forget to say less than or equal to? Of course, you got to love it when you do these live demos. So let's try this one more time. Hang on. Yeah, I think I just said less than, not less than or equal to 600,000. Or either that or I put one too many zeros. I think I got it correct now. I paused the video for a second and tried it before I tried it a second time in front of y'all. And now it's happy. All right, so that's an and an or condition. Two more I want to show you. Number 13 is talks about the design tab. Create a parameter query. Use the prompt for artist. It says use the prompt, enter the artist name. So if I come under artist right here for criteria and I go square bracket, enter the artist name, square bracket, and I run the query. Now remember, to run the query, hey, the exclamation point run button's not here. I have to go to the design tab and say run. And I typed enter an artist, not enter the artist. Okay, duh. Let's try this one more time. All right, I got to type back in. I got to go to the design tab and say run. And what that's going to do is, oh, hang on, the phone's ringing. And the phone rang because I forgot to mute my phone before doing this video. And of course, it was a spam call. So now you could see that when I run this query, it pops up and asks me to type in an artist's name, like, you know, Swift or whatever name we're typing in, Taylor Swift or whatever. And I'm going to hit next. And then it wants me to type in Adele, Adele, and say, okay. And one more I want to show you. Yeah, so the thing just to remember is if you want to prompt the user to enter a value, for the criteria, you put the prompt message in in the square brackets like this. And then when you run it, it's going to pop up and ask, like I said, you got to go to Design tab, Run, and then it's going to prompt up and say, enter an artist name and Adele. And then there's the results. Last one I want to show you is number 15. And on this one, they want us to do create a query and design window. They want us to add agents and listings, and then of course we got to close the add tables. They want me to add first name. I can drag it down. They want me to add last name. I can drag it down or I can double click it. The way they often have you do it is hit this drop down right here, and we want to find list price from the listings table. So that's the 3 they want us to put in here. Now we need to add the totals line. So over here in the design button, we say totals and turn that on, and that makes this totals line show up. And we want to get the list price count by agent. So let's run it. So now we can see how many properties are listed for each agent. So when you do the totals, here, let me get these back in here real quick. Oops, that's what I get for trying to be in a hurry. Design Wizard, agents, listing, close that. And then I'm going to give my, oops, I screwed up. I want this to be, last name. And then I want first name. And then I want, out of this table, I want list price. So to get aggregate, to get totals on a field, you got to turn on this totals button. And you can really, you say group by group by group by, and you only, like if I write here and say, if I say sum, that's going to give me the total of each agent, the total value of the listings, but they just wanted count, okay? And like I showed you in my little database, I showed you how to do this some too, but just watch out for that. So this was pretty straightforward. I also found the guided project really easy. And I am going to exit out of here. And that's really it for Access Chapter 3. If you have any questions or you need any information or help, you know how to contact me. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.